Today is November 27th, 2014, and this is going to be Budget Lesson 7. And what I'd like to do, I think from this point, is explain, I've already described some of the ways that I try to save money with grocery costs. And I think what I will begin doing is make a chart, and I was keeping track of it myself in sort of a home kind of a ledger for some time. But then a whole bunch of things came up at one point, and I stopped keeping track and kept my receipts, but didn't staple them to anything and keep them in order for marking down the fact that I am keeping to a particular budget that I've decided upon for myself. And there have been a couple of weeks in the several months I've been practicing this where I had to make other allowances for things that came up that I needed. But overall, most of my expenses have been kept to the budget, and I think what I will explain here is that my next step is going to be showing you how I record some of this information and what I'm going to do to keep it more organized and available to show you on a easier to read basis. So, I mean, easier to read than opening up one of my journals, my expense journals or something like that, and holding it up to the camera. I'm going to put this chart on my refrigerator door and mark different boxes for how much I spend each week, and then when I get home with a receipt, I will be then recording it onto that chart. For the last 3 weeks, however, I have been able to keep to a approximately $4 or less a week amount. There was, in the last 4 weeks, I should say, there was 1 week that I did spend $7.90, which is sort of the upper range of the budget that I have scheduled for myself. But the other weeks, I was able to keep it to $4 or less. So, how I do that in the United States, when actually groceries are not really cheap, and especially if you live in an area like I live in, and don't have a vehicle, to drive to some sort of outlet place and buy cheaper things, it can definitely be a challenge. But that's going to be the next thing that I do, is to show you where this money goes, and then explain to you what kinds of larger supplies or larger bulk groceries I was able to get ahead of time, which has enabled me to then spend a little bit less on a per weekly basis. So that is just to that's all that this lesson is going to be about, is finding ways to document different things. And a journal worked for me great. I was using let me show you. For several weeks, I was using just a plain, kind of weekly, monthly kind of journal. It has tabs for the months, and then a space to write in each of the days. And what I was doing is recording on the days that I did grocery shopping. I recorded the amount that I spent and what it was on. So it wasn't exactly a ledger, but sort of an approximation of such. And I did keep a side margin on one of the months, right here, of how much I was spending per week and what I anticipated to spend. And then this is a sparse page, but does include the fact that I documented how much I was spending and whether or not my goal was reached. So that was sort of, I had actually started budgeting before I started writing things down. But then I began writing things down, and then, as I say, a bunch of things came up. And, for example, I was even keeping track of things like 67 cents spent on canola oil, which I got in a bulk in a small little jar, which I applied to the grocery allowance that I had designated for myself on a particular day. And then, for example, the next day, I included how much I planned to spend and what my plan was. So I was keeping sort of a loose leaf type of a accounting of my expenses. And this kind of a book works great. For me, if I were just going to do this for myself, I would just stick with this because this works fine if I keep up with it, maybe staple some receipts. I think that what I would like to do is have my receipts included. And I am not doing this for business, but I do, I have worked in business, and I do know it's nice to have receipts to back up expense reports. And just even for my own information on what I spent exactly and what day and so on. But what I think will work better for showing you how things turn out or evolve as I go along is to have a chart on my refrigerator with little boxes, and where I will write in when I get back from the grocery store the amount that I spent per the description on the receipt. And so that is just explaining that you don't have to have a specific business ledger. You can keep track of things other ways. You can use just a plain journal or even paper. And then I've done a lot of scratch paperwork, which hasn't ended up in a journal of any kind, but it's been a lot of different kinds of planning for groceries and expenses and how much it will be, how much to approximate that I use, and to be reasonable about it and healthful, nutritious at the same time. And, of course, taking into consideration that I don't have refrigeration that works, but really has not been a problem because the things that I buy fresh, they get used before they go bad, and they don't need refrigeration. And then a lot of the bulk items that I bought were is dehydrated foods, which are reconstituted easily with water and cooking of some sort. So that is this is lesson 7, and happy Thanksgiving.